I lost both my legs trying to save Shinji. For 3 years of our marriage, he let his friends and family treat me with contempt. I confronted him, but he just pressed his temples impatiently. They're just stating the facts. Back then, I didn't beg you to save me. No one ever asked me if I wanted to. All the affection I had felt in my youth turned to ashes in that moment. That night, I slipped a sleeping pill into his milk and, while he was fast asleep, chopped off both his legs. I fell asleep holding him as he screamed in agony, and when I opened my eyes, I found myself back 3 years ago, before the accident happened. Brother Ishii really is something else, sticking with a dead leg for 3 years. Bro. You just don't get it. Maybe Ishii has some kinks. This cripple in bed. Heh heh. If you ask me, Jiang he is just too calculating. Tied Ishii to her for life with just one leg. Laughter echoed from inside the private dining room at the hotel, and I stood outside the door, clenching my fists. When the laughter finally died down, Shinichi's deep voice rang out. That's enough. Someone feigned surprise. No way. You didn't really fall for that cripple, did you? After a long silence, I heard him say, no way. What I mean is, I don't have any particular kinks, and it's really annoying to have to deal with a cripple every day. If it weren't for 3 years ago. Sis-in-law, what are you doing here? The door to the private room swung open, and everyone's eyes turned to muffled with mockery and pity, but not a trace of surprise. For a moment, Shinichi felt flustered and guilty. He strode toward me, his tone full of reproach. Don't you know what's going on with you? What are you doing here? Sitting in my wheelchair. I looked him in the eye and silently held up my phone. You're the one who told me to come. An hour ago, Shinichi sent me a text saying he had too much to drink and wanted me to pick him up. Shinichi pushed me into the private room. He closed his eyes and sighed. Are you happy now? The man who had just teased me raised his hand with a smile. Sorry. Sis. We were just joking around, wanted to see how much you care about Ishii. He said they sent the text messages using Shinichi's phone just to prove how much I love him. These people made no attempt to hide the contempt in their voices. I looked at Shinichi in confusion. He seemed to have known all along. I didn't think you'd actually come. He sensed what I was thinking and pressed his fingers to his temples in exasperation. You're no different. Think about Idovan if I'd had too much to drink. There are plenty of options. A designated driver or a friend. Who couldn't have taken me home? What good would it do if you came? I followed his gaze down to my legs. What can I do? Basically. After getting the text message, I rushed out the door in a panic, wheeling my wheelchair, and when I hailed a cab, I had to ask the driver to lift me into the car. Looking back now, I really was pretty foolish, eager to make a fool of themselves in their eyes. Since everything's fine, I'll head home now. I lowered my head and pushed my wheelchair away, but someone I didn't know who stuck out their foot to block my path. Sis Jianghe, don't rush off just yet. You can't just come all this way and not have a drink. Someone handed me a drink, but I'm allergic to alcohol. I looked at Shinichi again, but he remained silent. Faced with the stares of everyone in the room, I silently took the glass of wine. Haha, just like Jiang. Holy shit. He let out a gasp because I splashed the wine in his face. What the hell are you doing? You cripple. Ah. I switched my wheelchair to electric mode and mercilessly ran over the foot blocking my path. I could hear them cursing at me from behind, but I ignored them and thoughtfully closed the door to their private room for them. Shinichi caught up with him and immediately launched into a tirade of accusations. Jiang He, don't go too far. All my friends. He reached out to grab me, but I blocked him. They're your friends. But I'm still your wife. You know how to stand up for your friends, but you turn a blind eye when your wife is being insulted. Shinichi pressed his lips together in unconscious reaction that revealed he knew he was in the wrong but didn't want to admit it. I suddenly felt bored, so I pushed my wheelchair toward the main gate. He caught up with me again just as I reached the front gate. They do tend to speak their minds a bit too freely, but those are all true. 2. I'm not really a fan of Shinichi's forced farts. I rubbed my teary eyes hard and tried to keep my voice steady. Let's get a divorce. Shinji froze in her tracks, and the words of refusal slipped out before she could stop them. No. I can't divorce you. I looked at him in confusion. Why? I heard it with my own ears. She clearly said he didn't like me. Back then, I could still fool myself into believing that even though his friends weren't exactly thrilled to have me around, he loved me and that was enough. It wasn't until I heard those words with my own ears today that I realized just how ridiculous I was. The evening breeze was a bit chilly, so Shinji took off her coat and draped it over my legs. It's my fault. What I just said was just drunken nonsense. He didn't believe a word of it. Anyway, we're not getting a divorce. Okay. The scent of mint that belonged to Shinji enveloped me, and I finally couldn't hold back my tears. He pushed my wheelchair along the bustling street. I'll take you home. He pushed me along slowly down the street at night. He must have been lost in thought. He was so distracted that he didn't even notice the hole in front of him. I spoke up to remind him. After a quick apology, silence fell once more. I opened my mouth slightly. I want you to know that if this is too much for you, or if you don't love me, we can get a divorce. I've liked Shinji for 10 years, but that doesn't mean I'm going to pester her. Shinji's voice sounded displeased. I told you we're not getting a divorce. Xiao He. I closed my eyes and said nothing more, as memories of the past kept flooding back. 3 years ago, the moment the ceiling in the lab began to collapse, I instinctively pushed Shinji out of the way. I saved him, but I was struck myself and lost consciousness. That day, I had planned to confess my feelings to him, as a way of bringing my 7-year crush to a close. When I woke up from my coma, the first thing I saw were Shinji's bloodshot eyes. Jiang He, are you out of your mind? Why did you have to stick your nose in? I opened my mouth and realized my voice was completely hoarse. I wanted to tell him it was okay, because I liked him and also wanted to repay the Shin family for their kindness. My parents passed away when I was very young, and if it weren't for the Shin family's help over the years, I'm afraid my life would have been quite miserable. I wanted to get out of bed to pour myself a glass of water, but then I realized my legs had gone numb. The guilt in Shinji's eyes deepened. He took my hand. From now on, I'll be your legs. Jiang He. Let's get married. I admit that in that moment, I was completely overwhelmed by happiness. Okay. Shinji. I've actually liked you for 7 years. Shinji held my hand tightly without saying a word, and I instinctively ignored the hint of reluctance in his eyes. When I woke up this morning, Shinji was already gone. There's a glass of milk he heated up for me on the nightstand. Things have been really busy at work lately, so don't wait up for me for dinner. I took a sip of milk. It was sweet, but I've never liked sweet milk. There was a clatter outside the door, followed by a loud shout. Good morning, sis-in-law. She's Shinji's cousin. I sighed deeply, thinking to myself, this is really going to be a big hassle. Shin Yuyen wrapped her arm around me affectionately, but her eyes were full of sarcasm. My sister-in-law really is something, always causing trouble for my brother. At yesterday's dinner party, there were quite a few people my brother needs to build connections with. Your outburst really put him through the ringer. You tell me what to do, sis-in-law. I looked calmly at Shin Yuyen. You can have Shinji grant me a divorce, once the rush of happiness has faded. I can occasionally sense the same sense of helplessness that Shinji feels. He always kept a slight distance from me. His friends weren't like that toward me at first, either. Actually, I understand that they were just saying what Shinji couldn't say himself. That's why I've said more than once that if it's just because you saved my life, there's no need for us to stay married, can get a divorce. But he still refused. Shin Yuyen sneered. You don't really think my brother isn't divorcing you because he likes you, do you? She forced me into the wheelchair. I struggled, but it was no use. What can a cripple possibly do? She chuckled softly in my ear. Come on. I'll take you to see the show. The show Shin Yuyen was referring to was Shinji going on an intimate date with another girl, through the glass window of the couple's restaurant. I saw with my own eyes Shinji tucking a strand of hair behind another girl's ear. The love in his eyes was about to overflow. Shin Yuyen pursed her lips. Did you see that? That's the kind of person my brother likes. I don't understand. Then why doesn't he just divorce me? I'm not the one who won't let go, Qin Yuyan said indignantly. It's all because you took it upon yourself to blackmail my brother with the debt of a life saved. If he divorces you, what will he become? An ungrateful person. Don't act so magnanimous. You planned this whole thing, didn't you? I don't understand why everyone thinks I saved Shinji out of ulterior motives. I lost only my leg. But he lost his freedom. The people inside were so engrossed that they didn't notice me standing just outside the window. I smiled, rolled my wheelchair closer, and tapped lightly on the glass window. Qin Yuyan didn't expect me to do that. Her expression froze. What are you doing? It's so funnish, the one who brought me here. Yet she only lets me sit here and mope after watching it. She didn't have time to stop me. The two people inside spotted us. Stunned, panicked, Shinji appeared before me in an instant. Jiang He, listen to me. He didn't know what to say. And shot Qin Yuyan a reproachful look. Who told you to bring her here? Qin Yuyan pouted unhappily. I'm just worried about Jin. After all, you two are the ones who've been in love for years. I stood there frozen. Been in love for years. But before I confessed my feelings, I had subtly asked Shinji if she had a boyfriend. His answer was no. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mustered the courage. Jiang He, you go home first. Shinji gave Qin Yuyan a stern talking to. Then called a cab for me. Wait a minute, I said, raising my hand to stop him. I'd like to talk to the young lady inside. Jiang He, Shinji frowned. He was displeased. I gently took his hand. You'd better do as I say. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind shouting catch the mistress right out in the street. I'm disabled. And over the years I've seen so many strange looks that I've become immune to them. It's you who'll end up looking like fools. Shinji's frown deepened, but he must have cared deeply about the person inside. The next moment, he pushed me into the dining room. Iji, is this your wife, the one who saved you back then? The girl seemed to recognize me. She propped her head up with one hand and smiled at me. Hello. My name is Lin Suesu, Iji's first love. She was just like the rest of them. She acted as if she meant me no harm. But she was full of malice. Iji, why don't you take your cousin over there to sit for a while? I'd like to have a chat with Miss Jiang. With just a few words, she took the upper hand. Shinji sat with Qin Yuyan a short distance away, watching us with concern. Miss Jiang, Lin Suesu said, leisurely stirring the coffee in front of her. You know, if it weren't for you, I would have been the one to marry Heiji. I don't know, I told her. I've never seen you in his circle of friends. I had no idea he even had a first love. Lin Suesu raised her head. Her eyes filled with a hint of resentment. We're in a secret relationship because of my family. And Yiji says his family wouldn't approve. Only Yuyan has quietly supported us. We've been dating in secret for 2 whole years. And before the accident happened, we were both ready to come clean with our families. Too bad you beat me to it. No wonder Qin Yuyan hated me so much when she found out I was going to marry Shinji. But is that my fault? I asked him more than once if he had a girlfriend. It was his own choice to keep it a secret. And it was his own choice to marry me after the earthquake. Lin Sujuis could tell what I was thinking and chuckled softly. Aren't you curious why he's so determined to marry you? I looked up at her. My gut told me the answer wasn't going to be good. Because he found your secret diary. Jiang He. When Lin Suesu said this, there was a note of resentment in her voice. It could have been discovered at any time. But it had to be discovered right after you lost your legs and fell into a coma. It was discovered in front of the Shin family elders. And you're telling me you didn't do it on purpose. Miss Jiang. My mind went blank, so he had read my diary after all. Shinji had intended to pretend she hadn't seen anything. But Shin's aunt had spotted it first. My elders meant well. They watched me grow up. And the Shin and Jiang families have been close friends for many years. So that day, Aunt Shin asked him, do you like Jiang He? She had thought that if they both had feelings for each other, it wouldn't be such a bad thing to be together. I didn't expect Shinji to think it was pressure from an elder. I'm going to marry her. Under what he thought was pressure. He gave up on Lin Suesu and married me. I see. When I think about how I poured out my heart in excitement after learning that Shinji was going to marry me, it's nothing short of a joke. He could divorce me right now. But he hasn't. That's what I don't understand. Lin Suesu gave a mocking smile. Because you're useful. He is currently at a critical juncture in his career. If people find out that he abandoned the person who saved his life, what will they think of him? Miss Jiang. You've already put him in a difficult position once. Please don't do it again. Okay. She's so scheming, who knows if losing both her parents was karma. Aw. I couldn't help myself. I splashed the coffee in front of her right in her face. She can say whatever she wants. But she shouldn't bring up my deceased parents. Jiang He, what are you doing? Shinji quickly shielded Lin Suesu with his body. I pointed at her and said, she insulted my parents. Lin Suesu looked utterly flustered, tears welling up in her eyes. I didn't. I was just explaining our history to her. It was her. Shinji glared at me angrily. Apologize. I stared at them for a while, then smiled. Sure. Before I apologize, can I say something to you? Shinji said nothing, which meant he agreed. Come a little closer. I'm only telling you this. He walked over and bent down slightly. Smack. I slapped him as hard as I could and said, let's get a divorce. Shinji's face turned completely dark. Jiang He, I've told you. We can't get a divorce. You can't get a divorce. You care that much about your reputation and what people think of you. But this time, I wasn't willing to give in and sacrifice my own interests. Then just wait for the lawsuit. I turned my wheelchair around to leave, but was suddenly yanked out of it by a strong force. I was thrown to the ground, and Shinji's eyes were bloodshot. Divorce. Look at yourself, you're a cripple. Who would want you if you leave me? I stared at him in disbelief, unable to believe he had actually said that. Was I born lame? Shinji was annoyed. Yes. You saved me, you're my savior. Come on. Did I beg you to save me? Has anyone ever asked me if I wanted this? I'd rather it were me who was disabled. Do you know how much pressure this guilt is putting on me? Do you have any idea how much I've lost because of this debt of gratitude? He bitterly complained about the pressure he felt after owing me his life. I wish you hadn't saved me. I stared at him blankly as a faint musky odor wafted over. Overwhelmed by the humiliation, I lost control of my bladder. Seeing this, Shinji quickly lifted me back into my wheelchair. Look at yourself, what could you possibly do without me right now? With a look of disgust on his face, he draped his jacket over me. I'll drive you home. You need to calm down. Shinji called a cab for me. The driver was a plump, middle-aged woman. He had told her in advance and gave the driver a little extra tip, asking her to push me back once we reached the station. Perhaps sensing that I was in a bad mood, she gave me a thumbs up before leaving. Hey, there's still hope in life. She was probably afraid I might kill myself. No, I won't. Just half an hour ago, I received a text message from a stranger. It's a screenshot of a chat. Bro Shin, your wife is dead set on divorcing you. Looks like you can't pull off the devoted husband persona with President Gu. But that's okay if one path doesn't work. We can just try another. Do you remember Mr. Chi, whom I mentioned to you earlier? He loves to toy with disabled people in Jiang. He is just the perfect. Since she's going to divorce you anyway, you might as well use this opportunity to catch her in the act and accuse her of cheating. That way, you won't have to bear the stigma of abandoning the person who saved your life. Tomorrow night at 9:00, don't say I didn't give you a chance. That person said a lot. But Shinji's simple reply of okay left me utterly despondent. How cruel, blaming me for saving him, putting pressure on him, and squeezing out every last bit of value from me to pave the way for him. I don't know who sent me this text message, but whoever it was, I have to thank them. Chao He. I'm back. Shinji came back, completely drunk. He staggered over to me and crouched down. I'm sorry. I was a jerk earlier today. Can we not get a divorce? I looked at him calmly and gave him a gentle smile. All right. Really? I nodded and handed him a cup of hot milk. I was in the wrong about what happened earlier today. 2. Drink this glass of milk to sober up. I booked a flight to the Maldives for tomorrow. Would you like to go on a trip with me? Shinji was flustered at first, then confused. Tomorrow. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay. I smiled as I handed him the milk and watched him drink it. The drug took effect quickly, and just as I had expected. Shinji collapsed and lost consciousness. It's certainly a real hassle when you can't walk. It took me a full 2 hours to chop off Shinji's leg. He woke up in the middle of it, and his frantic screaming forced me to stop and stuff a towel in his mouth. He shook his head frantically. I quickly reassured him. It's okay. I won't kill you. All you need are your 2 legs. You don't really care about it anyway. So why don't you just give it back to me? He let out a whimper, probably begging for mercy. I shoved the chat log in his face, and he finally fell silent, left with nothing but pain and despair. As dawn broke, I finally chopped off those 2 legs. The knife was completely dull by then. Shinji lost and regained consciousness several times. After I was done, I removed the towel from his mouth. His breath was already faint and labored. Jiang, never mind. I just shoved it back in. I can't be bothered to listen. I realized it too late. My life was ruined the moment I lost my legs. Since he wants to ruin me completely, I'll just have to ruin him first. I lit the coal in the room and fell asleep holding him as he sobbed. That's good in a moment of clarity. The world was rid of a beast in human form. I didn't think I'd ever open my eyes again. The tingling sensation in my legs made me widen my eyes in surprise. I've been reborn back to the time before the accident happened. I jumped to my feet, startling everyone else in the lab. Hey. Are you okay? I stared at my legs and gave a few half-hearted replies. I went back to my 2nd year of graduate school. Back then, I chose the same major as Shinji so I could be closer to him, and I even managed to get into the same group as him. But then that accident forced me to drop out of school. Feeling the power surging through my feet, I trembled with excitement. It is now 1:27 p.m. on May 8th, and there are 10 minutes left before the ceiling comes loose and falls. Once, in an attempt to save Shinji, I pushed him out of the way with all my might, only to find myself pinned beneath the ceiling. Jiang, what's wrong? A pair of large hands rested on my forehead. It was Shinji. Do you have a fever? Do you want me to call in sick for you? I instinctively pulled away from his hand, and I saw a hint of hurt in his eyes. Our strange behavior caught the attention of others. Hey, are you two having a fight? I'm always chasing after Shinji, and she neither accepts nor rejects me. So everyone jokingly calls us the little couple. No. He has a girlfriend. I'm not involved with him. I quickly denied it. Just the thought of being associated with Shinji made me feel like I was inviting bad luck. Seeing how quickly I refused him and that I'd even mentioned his secret girlfriend, Shinji was momentarily taken aback. He lowered his voice. Jiang, is there some kind of misunderstanding between us? I looked at him and suddenly realized what was strange about our relationship. Shinji has a girlfriend right now, but he's still being vague with me even now that I've called him out on it. He still won't admit it. Is this about wanting a thrilling romance without giving up on the way I treat him? It turns out the person I used to like was a total jerk from the start. Watch out. A gasp of surprise interrupted my train of thought. The ceiling began to crumble just as it had in her previous life, and Shinji happened to be standing right in the center of it. And I was just at the edge of the peeling ceiling. In my past life, I pushed Shinji away without a second thought. In this life, I quickly ran away from danger. Xiao He. Shinji called out to me in disbelief. The next moment, the ceiling collapsed. And after letting out a scream, Shinji lost consciousness. Out of a sense of duty, I went ahead and called 911 for Shinji. The doctor said that Shiniji's legs were ruined and that she would be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of her life. I had to hold back to keep from laughing out loud. Jiang He, why? Why didn't you save me? Shin Yiji woke up, her voice hoarse and choked with tears. As if I were a faithless person. You could have pushed me away. I tilted my head. Shin Yiji, stop pretending. I know you're back too. Before we got married, Shin Yiji had never called me Xiaohe. And just now he asked why I hadn't saved him. Caught off guard, Shin Yiji blushed. He had intended to take the moral high ground and seize the initiative, hoping to make me feel guilty. I sat down next to him and gently patted his leg. Shin Yiji, your leg is ruined. Do you remember what you told me in your past life? Did I beg you to save me? Has anyone ever asked me if I wanted this? I'd rather it were me who was disabled. I smiled at him. Weren't you the one who didn't want to? Well, congratulations, you got your wish. You don't have to feel guilty because of me. You've only lost your legs for now. But you can hold your head high. There's no need to force yourself to shoulder unnecessary burdens. Shin Yiji stood there frozen, her face as colorful as an overturned paint palette. Jiang He, how come I never realized before that you're a nutcase? Can't you tell when someone's just venting? His smug expression mirrored the way he had brazenly claimed he didn't need my help in his previous life. If I save him, he blames me. If I don't save him, he still blames me. I was so furious I slapped him across the face. You know I'm crazy. Yet you still dare to talk back to me. Do you want me to chop off your leg again? Upon hearing my words, Shin Yiji suddenly shuddered. So many things had happened one after another that he almost forgot how he had met such a tragic end in his previous life. I must have lost my mind. I've always hated women like you. So it's just as well we don't have to be bound together for the rest of our lives. He was trying hard to save face. 10 minutes later, Aunt Shin arrived, looking quite disheveled from her hurried journey. E.g., Uncle Shin was out of town on business and couldn't make it back, leaving her mother to bear the tragic news all alone. Auntie, don't be too upset. At least he's still alive. As long as you're alive. I offered Aunt Shin some words of comfort. In our past life, she wasn't exactly mean to me, but she wasn't particularly kind either. Before she married Shin Yiji, she truly treated me like her own daughter. After we got married, she truly cared for me, but that care couldn't withstand the passage of time and her own son's constant sighs. So, when Shin Yiji's cousin bullied me, she chose to turn a blind eye. Jiang He, watch your step, Shin Yiji said, sounding a bit anxious. He didn't want Aunt Shin to worry, but right now he couldn't even turn over on his own. Xiao He, her father and I are so busy. Thank you for coming to take care of Yiji, Aunt Shin said, tears streaming down her face as she held my hand. I know you have feelings for Yiji, but given the current situation. As she spoke, she broke down in tears again. I understood what she meant. She was worried that Shin Yiji wouldn't find anyone to marry. Just as she had worried about me back then. I spoke without hesitation. Auntie, I only think of Shin Yiji as my older brother. Besides, Shin Yiji already has a girlfriend. Aunt Shin looked at Shin Yiji in disbelief. Is what Xiao He said true? Shin Yiji pressed his lips tightly together. He hadn't intended to come clean so soon. But now I'd forced his hand. I thoughtfully added. I already let her know she was coming. I don't want to be the third wheel who breaks up a relationship. I hope you understand. No sooner had the words left his mouth than Lin Suesu, dressed in white, appeared at the door. Her reaction was much the same as Aunt Shin. She was shocked and in tears. Aunt Shin had met Lin Suesu before. She didn't care much for the girl because she had 2 older sisters and a younger brother. She felt that such a family wasn't a good match for her son. It's just that the current situation. Aunt Shin didn't know what else to say, so she made up an excuse about going to buy some food and left. Yeetzi, the innocent girl, her eyes red from crying, looked particularly pitiful. But Shin Yiji averted his gaze. Jiang He, you shouldn't have asked her to come, looking like this. How could I? He couldn't finish his sentence. A pale yellow liquid was spreading across the sheets. Lin Suesu instinctively took 2 steps back, a hint of disgust in her eyes. Shin Yiji witnessed the scene, and his pride was wounded. Jiang He looked at me with pleading eyes. I remained unmoved. What are you talking about? You can't possibly expect me to do something like that. Can you? Your girlfriend is here. Is this appropriate? After scolding Shinji, I turned to Lin Suesu and said, Miss Lin, I've heard a little about your love story. If you love each other so deeply, you must be planning to spend the rest of your lives together. In that case, you should start learning how to care for a person with a disability right now. Under my urging and moral pressure, Lin Suesu struggled to help Shinji to her feet. The bathroom door slammed shut. And I didn't miss the look of resentment on Lin Suesu's face. I laughed. After all, I was the one who had suffered a tragedy. They could wallow in their noble, unrequited love. If they were in our shoes, would they still be so resolute under the pressures of life? After exchanging a few words with Aunt Shin, I left. Shinji has a mother and a girlfriend, so naturally he doesn't need an outsider like me getting in the way. I go about my daily life as usual, attend classes as usual, and I can walk and run freely. I'm captivated by this long-awaited sense of freedom. I heard that Shinji hasn't given up and is doing rehabilitation exercises every day. But unfortunately, there's been no improvement. Aunt Shin contacts me every now and then, and her remarks make it clear she's unhappy with Lin Suesu. It's just that she doesn't know how to take care of Shinji. She's not as thoughtful as I am. Shinji wants to get in touch with me too, but unfortunately, I've blocked all his contact information. It wasn't until 3 months later, when I was having dinner with my classmates from the same group, that we ran into Shinji and the others. Lin Suesu pushed Shinji toward us. Neither of them looked very happy. Lin Suesu was too busy scolding Shinji to notice me. What are you doing here? You cripple. Don't you feel ashamed? That dismissive tone stood in stark contrast to Xiaoyi's gentle demeanor earlier. It's no wonder Lin Suesu lost her temper. I've been quietly investigating, and it turns out that Shinji's so-called romantic love story was nothing more than a scheme Lin Suesu had been plotting for a long time. Lin Suesu came from a troubled family background, and she hoped to find a wealthy man who wasn't too bright to help her change her fate. Shinji showed up at just the right moment, but unfortunately, I got in the way in my previous life. As for this life, Shinji, feeling rejected, blushed. If I don't come, how will I know what you and your friends are saying about me? Lin Suesu sneered. Are you saying you're a cripple? A man who's no good anymore? Are they wrong? Just look at yourself. I have to help you even when you go to the bathroom. What else can you do? If it weren't to get away from that family, who would want to be with a cripple like you? Shinji trembled all over. You. What did you say? Lin Suesu ignored his murderous glare. If I'd known taking care of a cripple would be such a hassle, I should have picked a different target back then. Shinji roared. Let's get a divorce. Before we've even had the wedding. So they've already gotten married. It seems Aunt Shin is aware of her son's situation and won't let him be too picky anymore. Lin Suesu heard this and didn't hold back, punching him twice. Divorce. Do you think I don't want that? I've been putting up with you for 3 months, and I'm about to throw up. If it weren't for your damn mother, do you think I'd have wanted to marry you? This is what the innocent-looking girl looks like when she takes off her mask. Still, someone like that is the perfect match for Shinji. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. And the two of them finally noticed me. When Lin Suesu saw me coming, she quickly passed the hot potato that was Shinji off to me. You're just in time. Take your brother away. Back when Shinji and Lin Suesu were dating, he always told Lin Suesu that I was his sister. Lin Suesu shot Shinji a cold glance. I'm going back to the party. Don't get me into any more trouble. Lin Suesu walked away without looking back, leaving Shinji and me staring at each other. What he's going through now is exactly the same as what I went through back then. Shinji, do you remember what your friend used to say about me? Shinji turned her head away, her body trembling almost imperceptibly. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I interrupted him. You know all this, but since it doesn't happen to you, you just don't care. All right, don't be upset. If you ask me, Lin Suesu has been pretty good to you. She just gave you a little scolding. She didn't hand you over to some old man with kinks, did she? I was just trying to comfort him, but I didn't expect his face to grow paler and paler. No, Xiao He. Let me explain. I didn't mean to hurt you. I've got everything planned out. I've already had some sleeping incense lit in the room. He'll pass out before he can lay a hand on you the next day. Just pretend, he explained excitedly until he saw the icy glare in my eyes. Actually, I was already starting to fall for you back then. Smack. I slapped him as hard as I could. I felt like one slap wasn't enough, so I slapped him several more times in quick succession. Jiang He. Chen Yiji was both shocked and furious, but he was completely unable to fight back. I held back my anger. How dare you even mention love? Giving me away to another man is love. Letting my friends humiliate me is love. And cheating on me is love. You don't love me. You just realized that after becoming disabled. Your former love no longer loves you, and all you want is someone who will be completely devoted to you. Does a selfish person like you even deserve to love? Shinji hasn't come to see me since that day. My life has become increasingly carefree, though every now and then someone mentions Shinji to me, telling me how badly he's doing. I heard that Lin Suesu is actually quite nice to Shinji in front of Aunt Shin, but behind her back, she either hits or yells at Shinji. I don't know what's gotten into Shinji. He's been bullied like this and hasn't uttered a single word. I reckon he really does love Lin Suesu. Qin Yuyan has called me a few times, and from the way she talks, she treats me like a close friend. That Lin Suesu, I used to think she was kind and gentle, but I never imagined she could be so evil. Sister Jianghe. I wish it were you who married my cousin. I smiled. Don't be silly. Qin Yiji and I are siblings. Qin Yuyan pouted on the other end of the line. We're not even blood relatives. Auntie just took care of you for a few years. Yuri not even listed on her household registration. Sister Jianghe, why don't you go and steal the bride? It's on the 10th of next month. When I heard her say that, my eyelids started twitching. It suddenly occurred to me that, before Shinji and I got married, Qin Yuyan hadn't actually harbored such deep animosity toward me. After Shinji and I got married, she suddenly seemed like a completely different person. And she actually grew closer and closer to Lin Suesu. So it's Lin Suesu who's marrying Shinji now. Could it be that? I asked, as if offhandedly, Yuyan, you don't happen to like. Before I could finish speaking, the person on the other end of the line kept denying it. No way. How could I possibly like my cousin? After a long silence, Qin Yuyan stammered, well, okay. It is a little. But he's my own cousin, so there's absolutely no way that could happen. So I want to find a good wife for my cousin. Sister Jianghe. Aren't you really going to give my brother a chance? I smiled and brushed it off, then quickly saved the recording. I'll be there. Qin Yuyan let out an excited cheer. A month later, I showed up at the wedding. When I arrived at the wedding venue, Shinji was being ushered out by Lin Suesu to greet the guests. Shinji must have felt embarrassed. She gritted her teeth and said, "Did you really have to drag me into this?" Lin Suesu slapped him on the back of the head. "Say another word and I'll rip your mouth off." I didn't realize their relationship had deteriorated to this extent. If they were able to get married at all, it was only because Aunt Shin was determined to torment Lin Suesu. When Shinji was in good health, there was no way she would have allowed someone from a family like Lin Suesu's to get close to her son. But now that Shinji is disabled, families of similar social standing are naturally unwilling to marry their daughters to him. Aunt Shin had originally wanted me to be her daughter-in-law, but a few months ago, Shinji was determined to be with Lin Suesu. So she couldn't bring herself to ask me to take Shinji back. Doesn't Lin Suesu's family love money? Aunt Shin simply handed them 300,000 yuan in one go to buy Lin Suesu. After receiving the money, the family happily handed over Lin Suesu's household registration book. At first, Lin Suesu was only in it for the money, so she was willing to go through the motions of taking care of Shinji. It wasn't until after I was tricked into marriage that I realized I had been bought off by the Shin family. And Aunt Shin wouldn't give me a single extra penny. Don't even think about getting a divorce. Isn't this a love story that will shake the world? Then let's make it last forever. Shin Yiji saw me. He watched me from a distance, his gaze resting on my legs, revealing a look of longing. Aunt Shin never showed up. She was blatantly slapping Lin Suesu in the face. I just don't understand, has the Shin family given up on Shiniji too? Sitting at the family table, Shin Yuyan spotted me and quietly gave me a thumbs up. This was her plan. To show a montage of all the little moments Shiniji and I had shared over the years during the intermission of the wedding. According to her, Shiniji has feelings for me, so when the time comes, he'll surely regret it and even call off the engagement in public. Not only would this ruin the wedding, but it would also humiliate Lin Suesu to the utmost. However, her deliberate omission of this puts me in an awkward position. The sound of her abacus was too loud, so I had to quietly give it a few extra clicks. Hey, isn't this Shiniji's sidekick? A familiar voice. I turned around and saw that it was his brother, the same one who had humiliated me back when I was with Shiniji. TSK. 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 Look at that look on your face, you just can't get that cripple out of your head. Can you? You don't have some kind of kink, do you? His words were flippant. He showed no respect for either me or Shiniji. Joe Hao, if you don't want to eat, get out of here. Shiniji appeared beside me out of nowhere and lashed out at his former brother. Joe Hao looked at us with contempt. You still think you're some big shot? Seeing that you're disabled, I'll take pity on you. Let me tell you, your dad has already brought your 12-year-old brother home. I was surprised to learn that Shin Jiao actually had an illegitimate child. It looks like Uncle Shin has given up on Shiniji. As for Aunt Shin, never mind. Joe Hao, get the hell out of here. Shiniji was on the verge of losing his temper, but unfortunately, he couldn't get up to beat him up. Although Shiniji had told Joe Hao to leave, he casually sat down anyway. Get lost. Shiniji, what are you up to now? Lin Suesu ran after her and kicked Shiniji's injured leg with exasperation. Don't you think I've embarrassed myself enough today? Lin Suesu launched into another tirade against Shiniji. Come on, sis-in-law. Give young Master Shin a little face in public. Zhou Hao laughed heartily. Besides, your ex is right here. As he spoke, he turned his gaze toward me. I didn't want to complicate things right now, but Zhou Hao is such a jerk both in my past life and in this one. I grabbed the glass of red wine from the table and threw it right at him, warning him as he stared at me in shock. It's your business how you choose to insult Shiniji, but watch your mouth around me. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind telling the Shin family about the shady deals you've been pulling behind the scenes. For example, Mr. Lin likes, in his previous life, Zhou Hao loved introducing all kinds of girls to executives with kinky tastes. That Mr. Lin He was the favor he arranged for Shiniji. The moment I mentioned Mr. Lin, Zhou Hao instantly became as docile as a quail. Xiao He, Shiniji called out to me. Her voice choked with emotion. I'm sorry. I really didn't know that life after becoming disabled would be so. The sudden appearance of the big screen interrupted Shiniji's confession. I saw Shin Yuyan jump to her feet in excitement. Sister Jianghe, why don't you go and steal the bride? It's on the 10th of next month. Yuyan, you won't like this. No way, how could I possibly like my cousin? Okay. It is a little, but he's my first cousin, so there's no way that could ever happen. So I want to find a good wife for my cousin. There was no image on the screen, but my conversation with Shin Yuyan came through clearly to everyone. The wedding, which was already a chaotic mess, became even more chaotic. Shin Yuyan screamed, demanding that the video be turned off. And Lin Suesu strode forward and beat her mercilessly. She was cursing under her breath, and the few people there couldn't stop her no matter what. I was amazed. And really, how could a girl raised in a rural family that favors sons over daughters possibly be a delicate little flower? When I think back to how she and I used to chat in that restaurant, how peaceful and carefree those days were, I can't help but find it ironic. I slipped away quietly while the commotion was at its height, with Shiniji's calls echoing behind me. I heard what happened next from other people, after Shin Yuyan's underhanded schemes were exposed. Her parents had a huge fight with her older brother. They believed that Shinji must have done something inappropriate that led Shin Yuyen to develop an inappropriate crush on him. Uncle Shin, who had already been disappointed in Shinji, had now given up on him completely. Even Aunt Shin had no choice but to give up on her own son. Fortunately, the mother of that illegitimate child had died young. So at worst, she could treat him as her own son. It wasn't too late to build a strong bond with him. Lin Suesu was on the verge of losing her mind. She had completely lost face, and her reputation as a shrew was well known. She wants a divorce. But the Shin family has no intention of letting her go. The Shin family believed that this woman was the reason their son had been disgraced. If she hadn't stolen Shinji's heart, Shinji and I would have ended up together. Given how I feel about Shinji, how could I possibly not have saved her during that accident? If I end up breaking my leg, I'll just have Shinji marry me. The Shin family was naturally more than happy to take part in such a good opportunity to gain fame. They sure have a clever plan. The last shred of sympathy I had for the Shin family has vanished. 6 months later, Shinji took her own life. Before he died, he took Lin Suesu with him. Rumor has it that Lin Suzhi hooked up with Zhou Hao and secretly introduced Shinji to an old man with unusual kinks. And then, when Shinji woke up, she completely lost her mind. While crying and saying he knew he was wrong, that he'd been blinded by greed back then, cursed Lin Suesu, wishing her a miserable death. Finally, in a daze, he said that if he could go back in time one more time, he would definitely choose Jiang He without hesitation. He hired someone to sneak into his own home and secretly replace the dietary supplements Lin Suesu usually took with sleeping pills. While Lin Suesu was fast asleep, he set the house on fire, burning himself to death along with it. After Shinji's death, I received a letter. It was sent by Shinji. I imagine it's just some meaningless apology. I didn't even open the envelope. I just threw it straight into the trash. Start over. That's out of the question. God won't give a bad person another chance. And even if he did, no matter how many times it happened, I would never waver in my resolve. I have clear goals in life, and I'm determined to become the best version of myself.